All right. Well, happy Math Crush Monday, everyone. So glad that you're joining us. We are diving into math talk and a specific strategy, one simple strategy that I promise is going to move you forward in math discourse. So if you don't know already who I am, I'm Shannon Kiebler. I'm the moderator of our Math Expressions user group on Facebook. For those of you who are joining me there, welcome. We're so glad you're here. I'm also the creator of the Math Genius Squad, which is a professional development companion for all of those of you who use math expressions as your main resource. And some of you are joining me online on our website at empowerlearngrow.com. Or if you're joining us on YouTube, we're glad you're there as well at Empower Learn Grow. So I have planned or taught every lesson in math expressions K through 6, and now I support teachers just like you, learning how to use best practices while also happen to using math expressions. And what we know is that math talk is one of the 5 key structures of math expressions. It's one of the most important things that we do in our math classroom and one of the most important parts of the curriculum that you've adopted. So tonight we're going to address a strategy that I know you are going to find successful if you use it even just starting tomorrow. So before we start, just a quick crash course here into what is math talk. And number one, it's not a noun. I am not talking about a number talk. Okay, that's different. That's a noun. That's a moment in time. It's something that we do where kids talk about how they would decompose the numbers or which one doesn't belong. That is a number talk. Math talk for us is not a noun. It's going to be an adjective. We're a math talk community, and it's going to be a verb. It's what we do. So when I say math talk, I mean students talking about math during the entire duration of your math block. Okay, it's them sharing their ideas, and quick tip, we want them to be normed. So students like to talk, in general, the younger the grades, they like to talk more than the upper grades, but we can get all students talking if they are normed well. And you can do this in just 2 minutes, where students understand how to use their voice, when to use their voice, and how to have equitable voices in the math classroom. So here's a strategy we're going to use in order to help students get there. First of all, let's make sure that everyone's clear that math discourse can happen anywhere. Sometimes it is one student at the front of the board sharing their thinking. Sometimes it's turn and talk, tell your neighbor, and those two people are talking. It might be talk in your small group. It might be share and present to a small group, or share and present to a whole class. It can look like all of these things, and it can vary throughout your math block depending on the question and the needs of your room. So let's talk about this strategy of volleyball versus ping pong. And this is what's going to help you to have more equitable conversation in your classroom. It is one of the best analogies I've ever seen in terms of how it should sound and look in your room. So here's what it looks like. If you are playing ping pong, okay, that means it's teacher, student, teacher, student. It's one and done. I ask a question, you respond. I ask another question, someone else responds. It might be I'm pulling sticks out of a jar, but either way, it's teacher, student, teacher, student. That is the main interaction. And students start to follow this when they realize that they're only speaking to the teacher. The way they explain, the way that they're defending things is really just for the teacher's understanding. They don't realize that their audience is actually their classmates. So they don't start orienting to each other. Everyone else doesn't really give a rip what that kid says because in their mind, it is just their turn. Okay, that's ping pong. Sometimes that works really well for closed questions, right? I ask a question, I pull a stick, I'm like, John, he's like, it's a square. Okay, I can use it for that. But what I want you to start to navigate towards is open questions, and I want you to play volleyball. So what we know about volleyball is that students have to have 3 hits before the ball tends to go to the other side. Now, we know that sometimes in volleyball, someone, hits it and it goes over on the first hit. So it is flexible, but I want you to think of how can I ask a question and have students do 3 things with it before I change my question. Because what often happens is I do a ping pong, I ask a question, John responds, I'm like, John gets it. Thanks, John. John's the only one raising his hand. He's one of 5 kids that only ever raise their hand. And he's keeping my lesson going because I kind of need John to do that. But it feels like, well, if John gets it, surely everyone's on the same page. And now I'm going to keep going. We know that's not true. Just because John knows the answer doesn't mean anyone else has any idea what the answer is or how he got it. So instead, I want you to think about volleyball. So I say something like, so, what kind of shape is this? John, okay, square, okay, ping pong. But now I'm going to start playing volleyball. I want 3 things to happen before we switch. So I might say, friends, John thinks this is volleyball. or Sean thinks this is a square. Friends, would you turn to your neighbor with your partner right now? And I want you to come up with 3 ways that this might be called a square. Why is this a square? Prove it. Okay. I might say, I just told you that a square has 4 sides, 4 equal sides, and 4 right angles. Friends, would you teach your neighbor, what does a square have? That's a hit. So I'm thinking every time I say something, can someone else repeat it? So who can repeat what John just said? And notice that no one's hands go up. No one cares because you've never held them accountable for caring or for even being able to repeat what someone else said. So one of the easiest moves is someone does say something that feels pretty significant. Ask someone else to repeat it. Ask the whole class to repeat it. Everyone, what is it called? Everyone now choral response. Square, that's 1 hit. Turn to your neighbor, prove it. Prove that's a square. Okay, another hit. Friends, turn and tell your neighbor 2 examples of a non-square. Another hit. Right? I could be repeating, questioning, proving. I might say, ask a question about the square. Ask your neighbor 1 question about a square. So it might be, how many sides does it have? How many angles does it have? How do you know that it's not a fill in the blank? Okay. Or how do you know it is a rectangle? So I can start to change the level of interaction of any question that seemingly seemed like a depth of knowledge 1, like it was just a recall question. But when students have to do more with it, more students stay with me as I move through the lesson, and my pace can stay very quick. So volleyball means 3 things have to happen with that same idea before I move on. And the 3 things aren't me. I'm not repeating it. They're repeating it. Okay, someone else tell them what they just said. So look at this list here that I have for you in terms of the types of things that we can say and do. So generally this is with open questions. I might have started with a closed question, but now I'm moving it into, he said it was a square, but now you guys can all say, what is it again? Square. Okay, that's another hit. But now do something more with it. How do I make it a depth of knowledge 2 or 3 question? So repeat it. Add on, agree or disagree. Friends, he thinks this one's a square. Agree or disagree. And agree is not I agree and that's it. Okay, that's no depth to that. Say I agree. Another way to prove it is, okay, or I disagree because, and I'm giving them sentence frames, and now they're having to do something with that information. Question it, ask a question about it, prove it, defend it. Okay, all of these things are saying I need more kids to do it because the more you say it, the more you retain it. So your job is to move from ping pong, teacher, student, to volleyball. Say something. If it's of sustenance, everybody in the room needs to do something with it. So I want you to go give that a try. If you need more support, we have several things for you. First of all, we have the Math Talk Bulletin Board Kit. So this has all of the frames. This is one of those things where you can start to build that repertoire of questions or ideas from what 3 things that could happen out there. Because it's not only what the explainer says, okay, those are these sentence frames on the left, but then I've given you a bunch of sentence frames for what would the audience say? What's something else? What's another frame they could use to add on to that thought, to agree with that thought, to repeat that thought? So just comment Math Talk and we'll get you that bulletin board kit. We have Partner Talk picking cards. Okay, so this is where I know that macaroni and cheese are going to be paired up together and cookies and milk are going to be paired up together. We know students do better in partners and in math discourse when they each have a role to play. So even if John says, I know it's a square because, and he gives us some attributes, I can say macaronis turn to cheese. Macaronis, tell them what John just said. I'm giving them accountability and I'm making sure that someone knows who's supposed to go next and what the listener is also in charge of. We have partner picking cards for you. Just comment cards. Last but not least, if you're in the Math Genius Squad, you know we have so much support for you in terms of all of these sentence frames and types of questioning put on Google Slides for you for your specific lessons, every unit, every lesson, plus a video to help support you through it. Watch those videos. I'm going to tell you, what do students have to build, draw, write, and talk? What do students have to be able to say about this particular topic? So if you're in the squad, go get it. If you're not, you should comment squad and we'll send you some more details. So my friends, thanks for joining me for Math Crush Monday. Go try ping pong versus volleyball, and I want to hear how it goes. We'll see you next time online. Bye for now.